On that night, the girls were very happy. Their mommy had told them they would be making necklaces. The little girl's eyes sparkled with excitement, filled with the simple joy that only children can truly know. What other happiness could a few years old have but the promise of a fun craft with their beloved mother? But they did not know those cable ties their mommy gave them for necklaces. The cable ties they tied so excitedly around their necks were meant to kill them right in front of each other. Why would a mother kill her three beautiful, innocent young children? Was there no one to stop this tragic event? We are going to find out. This is the story of Lauren Dickason from South Africa. Lauren was always the smart kid in the room. She went to a boarding school in Pretoria and later studied medicine at the University of Cape Town. She finally became a doctor in 2004. Just a year later, she met the love of her life, Graham Dickason, an orthopedic surgeon. They met while practicing medicine in Pretoria in 2005. Once Lauren's practice was complete in 2006, they decided to get married. Life was great, but then they hit a major roadblock. Lauren had trouble having children. They went through 17 rounds of IVF. 17. Still no luck. Lauren was desperate for kids, so they decided to use donor eggs. In 2013, they had their first child, Sarah. They were overjoyed. They had a baby girl now. But their happiness was short-lived. Sarah was born prematurely at 18 weeks with severe health issues and died shortly after birth. This loss hit Lauren like a ton of bricks. She didn't return to work. She was too devastated to go out in public. And what most people didn't know was that Lauren had been battling depression and anxiety since she was 15. Losing Sarah only made things worse. This loss pushed her deeper into darkness. Her world became a dark place, and she couldn't handle returning to her medical career. Graham suggested she take a part-time job, so she became his surgical assistant. It helped, but not much. She was still battling with postnatal depression, but then there came a ray of hope for her. In 2014, their second daughter, Liane, was born. She brought some light back into their lives. 4 years later, they welcomed twins, Carla and Maya, in November 2018. Their house was full of love, but also a lot of stress. Raising 3 kids was overwhelming, especially for Lauren, who was still dealing with her mental health issues. This is why the couple decided to hire a nanny. Her name was Maria Mendy Sibagnoni, and she helped Lauren out from November 2018 to May 2020. But life in South Africa was getting tougher. Crime rates were up, and the economy was shaky. The Dickasons wanted a better life for their kids, so they decided to move to New Zealand in 2019. But then COVID-19 happened, and the world was put to stop. The Dickason family had to postpone their migration. Finally, in 2021, Graham's Essential Skills Work Visa was approved, and they made the move. While they were on their way to New Zealand, all Graham could think about was the new life that lay ahead of them. He thought about his stable job, the safe neighborhood, and the best schools for the kids. He pictured Lauren finding new opportunities and finally feeling at peace. He saw family picnics, new friends, and a bright future. Everything seemed perfect. Graham was excited for this fresh start. Little did he know, a nightmare was waiting for them in New Zealand, ready to shatter all those dreams. The Dickason family moved to New Zealand, but Lauren's mental health issues followed her. Lauren had been battling depression for most of her life. In 2015, she was diagnosed with major depression and anxiety after losing Sarah. In fact, Lauren revealed that she would have flashbacks of losing Sarah, had trouble sleeping, even had suicidal thoughts. And then when her twins, Carla and Maya, were born, Carla had a cleft palate. This added to Lauren's anxiety and depression. Caring for a child with special needs was overwhelming because this situation was making her feel even more helpless. The children were too much for her to handle. In May 2019, Lauren saw a psychiatrist because she was having homicidal thoughts towards her children. This was a big red flag, but she never shared these homicidal thoughts with her husband. These thoughts were triggered after she and her nanny struggled to put the twins to bed. Lauren admitted Carla was a difficult child. She would often lash out, slap, and bite. This often made Lauren have homicidal thoughts of taking her life. Things got worse during the 2021 South African unrest. Lauren feared for her children's safety and kept them at home, but this only intensified her anxiety. She started having thoughts about harming and killing her children. This was really unsettling for her, so she decided it was time to finally tell Graham about it. Now this is where Graham made his big mistake. Instead of consoling her, helping her, telling her he would help her battle these thoughts, he reacted with anger and convinced her to start taking antidepressants. Finally, they moved to New Zealand in 2021. You would think things would get better, right? But they didn't. After 2 weeks in managed isolation due to COVID-19, the Dickason family arrived in Timaru on September 11th, 2021. Isolation was tough, and Lauren hated it. And then when they arrived in Timaru, Lauren hated it even more. She didn't like the town's residents. She even called the rental homes small, disgusting, and creepy. She was worried that her kids would face cyberbullying or worse, discrimination. These thoughts made her regret moving to New Zealand, and this was the next big red flag for her worsening mental health. Lauren's fixation on these issues turned into delusions. Her anxiety and depression were building up, and when they landed in New Zealand, they reached a boiling point. She was now a ticking time bomb, and no one had any idea what she was about to do. On the night of September 16th, 2021, the unimaginable happened. It was supposed to be a normal evening for the Dickason family, but it turned into a horrible nightmare. Earlier that day, Carla and Maya had their first day at preschool, while Liane had her second day at Timaru Christian School. It was a day of new beginnings, but not for Lauren. She was already worried for the kids and anxious about the immigration decision. After school, Lauren picked up her daughters, but then Carla threw a tantrum in the car. To calm things down, they visited the local botanical gardens. But even there, Lauren's anxiety spiked. A group of girls warned her about a boy photographing her kids. Suddenly, New Zealand felt just as dangerous as South Africa to her. That night, Graham went out with colleagues and left Lauren alone with the children. While Graham was out enjoying his night, Lauren was having the worst time of her life. The children were wild again. They were jumping here and there and not listening to Lauren. And then something snapped in her. Lauren gathered her children in a bedroom and told them they were going to make necklaces. She said that because they did not have all the tools, they were going to use cable ties. The kids obviously loved this idea. They went along with it. Lauren was in her disturbed state. She believed she was protecting them. She told the girls that she was too sick to go on and didn't know who would care for them. And then she did the worst thing she could have done. She began with Carla, her most challenging child. She suffocated her using the short cable around her neck. The poor child suffered for a bit and then gave up. The other two were too stunned to do anything. Her mother had just killed their sister right in front of their eyes, and they could not do anything. They knew it was their turn next. Next was Liane. She fought back. She screamed. She struggled, but there was no one to help her. She was trying to hold on, trying to make sense of the horror unfolding before her, but then she gave up as well. Lastly, it was Maya's turn, the youngest and most innocent. After suffocating Maya with the cable tie, Lauren saw all three were still breathing. They were still suffering, so Lauren smothered them with a towel and blankets. She was ensuring there was no way back, no chance for life. All three were dead within a matter of minutes. After doing this horrible thing, Lauren tried to end her own life with a knife and pills. But as she was there waiting for her own death, the poor dad arrived. When Graham returned home, he walked into a scene of absolute horror. His daughters, his innocent little daughters, were lying lifeless in their beds. The shock, the devastation, it was beyond comprehension. Lauren was distraught and in a state of collapse. Graham looked at her for some explanation, but Lauren told him it was too late. She then fell down as her mind was unable to cope with the reality of what she had done anymore. On the night of 16th of September, police in Timaru got a call from someone. It was Karen and Brad Cowper, who reported a murder in their neighbor's home. When the police arrived, they found a distraught Graham Dickason standing in a room of horror. 3 dead children and Lauren Dickason, who was alive, but clearly in a bad state. She was taken to Timaru Hospital, while the police transported the dead bodies. The next day, on 17th September, police interviewed Lauren.
Psychiatric help she'd received over their 15 years together.
She admitted to killing her 3 children. Can you imagine? She just came right out and said it. Then the next day, on 18th of September, Lauren appeared in Timaru District Court. She was then sent to a forensic psychiatric ward.
Do 11 of you find the defendant, Lauren Ann Dickason, guilty of murder, or do you find the defendant, Lauren Ann Dickason, not guilty of murder?
Guilty of murder.
At Christchurch's Hill Morton Hospital, and later placed in a hospital psychiatric unit. This was not just a simple case. It was clear her mental health was in shambles. Lauren pleaded not guilty to murder.
You know that's not what happened. Members of the jury, I suggest that this awful event would never have happened if Lauren Dickason was not depressed. And if she'd only been treated for her depression, things might have been.
As she claimed insanity. But the evidence was right there. The jury made their decision, and on 16th of August 2023, she was found guilty of murdering her 3 children.
On the contrary, the Crown say that on the 16th of September, her actions are actually explained by 2 primary drivers.
She was sentenced to 18 years in prison. 18 years for taking 3 lives. Some might say it's not enough. During the investigation, many red flags came up, which tell us that this crime could have been avoided.
Why am I thinking like this? It's terrifying me, making me feel even worse about myself. Even when I had these thoughts, I loved them even more.
Her search history revealed that she had looked up ways to overdose her children. How did no one notice? In July 2021, a friend sent Lauren a TikTok video where a mother talked about the chaos in her brain from raising kids. Lauren replied, "Awesome XXX. That's exactly how I feel." This was another sign that she was not in her right mind. She obviously needed help. Her mother, Wendy, remembered that Lauren's mental health got much worse during COVID-19. She lost a lot of weight and was deeply depressed. But the question here is, why didn't she help her? Why didn't she take her to a psychiatrist? Had anyone really stepped in to help Lauren, maybe the children would be alive today. It is heartbreaking to think that with proper intervention, this tragedy might have been prevented. The loss of Liane, Carla, and Maya broke Graham, and he still regrets today for not spotting the signs and saving his baby girls. Do you think Lauren received a just sentence? Share your opinions with me in the comments below. And before you go, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more shocking crime stories. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.